Thank you for joining us. The webinar will begin in approximately 4 minutes. The webinar will begin in approximately 3 minutes. The webinar will begin in approximately 2 minutes. We will begin the webinar in 1 minute. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by and welcome to today's webinar. Our topic for today is the key challenges facing managed service providers today and how to overcome them. Our expert speaker is Marco LaVecchia, Vice President of Sales North America at AVG Business. As VP of Channel Sales for North America, Marco is responsible for managed service providers sales across the United States and Canada. Recognized for his pragmatic, thousands of MSPs during his 10-plus years of being in the channel. He champions a highly consultative AVG sales model to help MSPs succeed. This includes education, training support, and marketing programs, RMM technology, and focus on broader strategies that partners require to achieve recurring revenues, higher technician utilization rates, and scalable growth. Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you now. It's Marco here.
Wonderful. Okay, well, sorry about the little technical difficulty. So getting back to it, Marco has been named one of CRN's channel chiefs for 2015. Okay, all phone lines are in a listen-only mode, and later there will be a question and answer session with instructions being given at that time. You may also ask a question at any time using the chat window located in the control panel. Chat questions will be answered at the end of the presentation as well. Today's session is being recorded, and you will be provided a copy of today's materials following the webinar. With that, I'll turn the presentation over to Marco. Take it away.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon or good morning, depending where you are right around the world. So I want to thank you all for joining me this afternoon. It's a beautiful day. I'm speaking to you from Ottawa, Canada, which is our nation's capital. And fall season, and looking at my window, beautiful sunshine, and makes it all the much better in terms of sharing with you some of the things that maybe some advice that I can share across the board, whether you're a managed service provider today, whether you're thinking about getting involved with managed services, whatever I can do to try and kind of give you a little bit of advice and maybe kind of position you for overall success and growth. As mentioned, I've been in the channel for a long time. I've probably been working with IT service providers now for about probably going on 13 years. So very familiar with, for instance, where the industry was at, 13 years ago and how it's evolved today. I've seen different models that service providers have tried to go to market with. I've seen MSPs today that, are on their second, third, or even their fourth RMM solution in technology, and I see some great businesses. I also see some businesses that continue to make the same mistakes over and over. So one of the things about AVG, if you don't know us, we are the largest player in the channel today selling remote monitoring and management solutions. So we're over a $400 million a year business. Everybody knows AVG is a security company. That's really kind of a core of where we come from, and we're the first security company that jumped into the remote monitoring and management space. And our whole entire business model is to help IT service providers or MSPs get involved in managed services or help them become extremely successful. And we have over 200 million users of all of our different AVG products worldwide. It gives us an enormous amount of information in terms of not only security issues, so we take all of our technologies and the algorithms that it provides to us, but it's just a wealth of knowledge and information that we can get from all of our channel partners, and we have a number of them. We have over 10,000 channel partners worldwide that utilize different facets of our solutions and technologies. And a lot of people ask me, what is AVG, right? For instance, are you a security company? And I said, no, we're much more than that, right? Like, yes, we do sell AV, but, for instance, at the core forefront within our channel programs is we sell remote monitoring and management, which is really at the cusp and at the core of anything that an IT service provider needs in order to deliver managed services to their end user customers. And so, we're very happy and proud in terms of what we've been doing over the last little while. The biggest thing that we strive on, and we really want the channel and the industry to know, is that we're channel friendly. We do not sell any of our products directly, and everything that we sell within AVG business is really geared towards the channel and making our channel partners extremely successful as they kind of go to market and as they try and develop more recurring revenue streams to their customer base. And so, we have a very what I kind of feel a very effective agenda this afternoon, just in terms of understanding what are some of the different things that we tend to see service providers are focusing on today, whether that's growth, whether it's sales and marketing strategies, whether it's just basically where's the industry at and what's the next evolution of where the industry is going and what that looks like. And so, we'll have a number of things to talk about, but I welcome questions afterwards. I don't want to, we have 30 minutes here this afternoon, but I do want to leave some questions because I think questions are always key, just in terms of understanding maybe you're thinking about something a little bit differently and I can help you out with. So we'll definitely leave some time for everybody to take a look at it. So maybe as we kind of get going here, one of the biggest things that I tend to see in terms of how service providers can be successful, how do they become profitable, really starts off at the core, at the subset of what kind of security or IT service provider you are. And so what I mean by that is service providers, a lot of times when they go take a look at technologies, a lot of the times what ends up happening is the first thing is they want to jump into the managed services space, or for instance, they're taking a look at jumping into another platform, is they evaluate everything at the core front from a remote monitoring and management standpoint. And that's not necessarily what I would say the best practice to maybe implement in your business. And so what I wanted to share with you this morning is just a little bit in terms of what are the different types of service providers that are out there, and then how do technologies map to who you are. And I think if you can identify for yourself exactly who you are as an IT service provider, that's where you're going to get the most amount of value, and that will position you to basically become profitable from a business standpoint as you evolve your MSP practice. So let's kind of take a look at it this way. On the left-hand side of this chart here, you see break, fix, time, and material. So there might be people on the line that still haven't made the transition to managed services, or for instance, there's businesses that are doing managed services and they still support their customers in a break, fix, time, and material fashion. Then you take a look at the next quadrant. You got service provider does proactive time and material. They may be a cloud-based reseller, so they're not necessarily ready for an RMM solution, but for instance, they might be interested in, for instance, offering cloud-based services to their end user customers in a managed model. And so what I mean by that is maybe there's a service provider that really what they want to do is they want to go out and sell antivirus solutions to their customers, but in a managed model and in a monthly recurring revenue stream. So that would be the first kind of step into the business that a service provider would say, hey, this is a great way for me to develop monthly recurring revenue, start seeding my customers in terms of the value of getting in a recurring revenue model with me, and then over time I can transition myself to maybe leveraging more in-depth tools and technologies into my business. So there's what I call security products. Within the AVG model, we have a product called CloudCare, and it gives you the ability to proactively push out antivirus, content filtering, email security services, online backup. You may be able to do mobility, so identity as a service within this model. And so it's a portal that allows you to manage your client's environment. So you might be leveraging another technology if it's not, for instance, like an AVG CloudCare solution, but it gives you the ability to kind of step into that monthly recurring revenue stream. Then as the technologies evolve and as your business changes, you get into what I call an emerging MSP or a cloud-based service provider, an intermediate MSP that resells cloud-based services, or for instance, you may be selling into the enterprise, right? So we have a big gamut in terms of different types of service providers that are in the market. And in North America, we probably have around 70,000 IT service providers. There might be anywhere between 20 to about 23,000 service providers that are leveraging a remote monitoring and management platform or cloud-based technologies to go out and resell recurring revenue. So why do I say the technologies fit in terms of different types of businesses? Because it's critical. And so the next evolution would be incorporating a remote monitoring and management platform. And where does that fit across a profile of business, right? So this would be really strategic for a customer that wants transparency in their client's environment, that wants to generate recurring revenue, right, and has really adopted cloud-based solutions, right? So not all RMM products are cloud-based. Some of them are hybrid, and some of them are on-premise only. So it's very important for you to make sure that you choose the right types of tools and technology that really kind of map to what you're looking at. And so, cloud-based technologies today, they've evolved dramatically, and you really make sure that you're working with a company that offers you the same functionality, whether it's a cloud-based platform or an on-premise based platform, because over time you're going to want to evolve your business into the cloud, and your customers are going to request it. You don't want to be able to be in a situation where you lose functionality getting from one platform to the next. The next thing is you start seeing more service providers that are adopting NOC and help desk services as well, and that fits into a different profile of service provider as well. But the advantage of, for instance, NOC and help desk services is it takes a small IT service provider or a small MSP and allows them to go act like a very large MSP, and that's the significance of leveraging NOC and help desk services into your business. And I highly recommend that any service provider that wants to go out and get higher level margin contracts, bigger recurring revenue models, to really go out and adopt NOC and help desk services and try and find an organization or a company that offers all of those things together, because you're going to have a much more significant advantage in the marketplace in terms of how you go to market. And so when we take a look at, what do I feel are the keys to a successful MSP? First of all, you need a very strong remote monitoring and management platform, right? If that's what you're going to adopt into your business and into your practice, it's very important that you're leveraging best-of-breed solutions and technologies, because without it, you can't deliver proper proactive services to your end user customers. You can't diagnose issues and problems before they arise. You can't offer proper reporting, and you cannot show value to your customers in terms of what you're doing, right? Because today, if you haven't migrated your business away from being a reactive service provider, it's very, very difficult for you to compete, right? And the value between being an MSP and somebody who does reactive services are two completely different models, and one has a much more stronger value proposition over the other. The other thing that we tend to see is that, what kind of service provider do you want to be, right? And so do you want to be what I call a total MSP or a partial MSP? And what I mean by that is not all technologies are created equal. And so you have to make the decision from a business standpoint of, do you want to deal with one company that provides you with all the services that you need, or do you want to go and deal with, for instance, 7 or 8 different companies and kind of piecemeal those together? And when you think of that, it doesn't necessarily sound very attractive, right? It doesn't necessarily make sense to have to leverage different tools and technologies. But, over the last number of years, that was the only option that we really had, right? That's kind of what we were dealing with as a whole entire industry, that, I had to go get my remote monitoring management from one tech company. I had to go get my NOC and help desk from another. Maybe I was buying my AV somewhere else, and I was doing email securities from another company. I had to basically deal with 6 or 7 bills and 6 or 7 different support organizations. And, I have to say that probably those days are over now, and you're starting to see more service providers they're looking for that one-stop shop for all their products and services. And that is something that you need to challenge the solutions and technologies and the companies that you work with, that if they can't bring that whole entire value to you underneath one umbrella, then it's probably time that you need to go out and evaluate other products and solutions. Because what ends up happening is that your costs go up when you support a number of different products, all the different support desks and waiting for tickets to come in and trying to basically combine all the costs from a billing standpoint. Those days, you know, if you can find a company, and there are companies, and AVG is one of them, if you can find an organization and company that can combine everything into a one-stop shop for you, you're going to have a much more significant advantage. And that's kind of where I bleed into standardizing on a tool set, right? Eliminating, for instance, so many different companies and solutions and technologies, and standardize on, you know, one AV solution, have an RMM product, and standardize on maybe one email security service product, and have one of each that you're going to introduce and talk to your customers about, opposed to, for instance, going to, you know, if I have a look at some websites and I see like 6 or 7 different technologies right across the board, across so many different things, that leads to a lot of confusion for your customers. The other thing is that, you know, become a sales and marketing genius, right? And this is so key to your overall success, right? Sales and marketing, if you're doing managed services or in any business, is the lifeline of how you become successful. If you're just looking, if you're a business that likes to kind of grow organically and it's a couple of customers coming on board every 4 or 5 months, then that's fine. But if you're an organization that really wants to take your business to the next level, you need to ensure that you have the right sales and marketing programs tied to the programs that you actually go out and sell and articulate to your end user customers. And this is probably an area that a lot of service providers really struggle with in terms of how do they get their messaging out there. The other thing is that don't sell technology, right? This is probably one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of service providers do. They sell technology and they don't necessarily sell their value as a business. And, you know, at the end of the day, majority of the customers that are out there, unless you're selling to an internal IT department, they really don't care the types of technologies you're using behind the scenes. They're trusting you, the business, the service provider, in terms of recommending the right type of solution set, right? And technology is irrelevant to them. So if you can learn how to wrap your solutions around the technologies and talk about the value of your programs and what it's going to mean to them and how you're going to help them out, that's where you're really going to become successful. Last but not least, know who your customer is, right? So if you're going to go out and sell a solution to a law firm or a healthcare vertical or a construction organization, what happens is that all of those customers have a different value proposition that you're going to want to articulate to them. You don't want to go sell all of those customers the same way because they all have different needs. And so that ties into those sales and marketing programs that you go to market with in order to be successful. So those are some of the high-level highlights that I think that service providers can really help them out. Then you take a look at, for instance, the MSP opportunity as a whole, right? We tend to see that, you know, the Internet of Things is really something that's talked about. We're seeing more and more businesses and IT service providers that are really starting to pay attention about the Internet of Things. The RMM solutions and technologies today are really starting to embrace this. And so you need to figure out what are the things that are important, right? And, you know, mobility and identity as a service falls underneath this Internet of Things. And the channel hasn't adopted this truly yet, but it's something to pay attention to. And it's a great opportunity for service providers to gain more recurring revenue for the customer. So we have to embrace it, and we definitely have to welcome it. The other thing is that what is your cloud strategy from a business standpoint, right? We start to see that more customers are going into the cloud. You got your VMware offerings. You got your Office 365. There's technologies today that help you manage the cloud-based solutions and environments that are out there so you can remain relevant and articulate profitability within your business. And so this is something that all businesses really kind of need to pay attention to. And I think we've all recognized that this is just a paradigm shift that's transpired over the last couple of years that are really kind of resonating well in the marketplace. And, you know, when you take a look like how do you basically grow, every business really wants to grow, right? If you don't, we necessarily shouldn't be in business, but figure out what are the key strategies to kind of help you grow. And I touched base on this a second ago, right? If you can leverage, for instance, knock and help desk services as well to go out and offload a bunch of services that, for instance, you don't necessarily want to handle yourself and let an organization handle it for you, that positions you to free up technicians and engineering time for them to go out and drive more business for the business or increase tech utilization rates and drive more value for the business. So very key and important. And again, mobility. I think this is a very, very important piece to the business that service providers need to start going in and offering mobility services to their end user customers. We're beyond, for instance, monitoring a mobile device. We're really talking about two-factor authentication on those devices. We're talking about password management. We're really talking about application management. And I think that service providers, if a little thing that I can share with you, if you can't sell mobility based on per device cost, meaning that, for instance, you're going to charge to manage a tablet or a mobile phone, then build the cost per user, and you eliminate the cost of what those per devices really kind of look like. So, Lisa, this is a great time to maybe ask, basically a polling question in terms of some of the challenges. I'm curious to know, for instance, are some of the challenges based around sales and marketing, technology, or billing issues?
Okay, well, let's take a look at that then. Pardon me. Let's go ahead and launch that. So, what are the biggest challenges you face today? And please just select one: sales and marketing, technology, or billing issues. And we'll give everyone a couple of seconds here to go ahead and get their answer in. All right, we have almost 70% of you voting already, so let's get a few more in here before we close it up. Another 10 seconds. Okay, so what are the biggest challenges you face today? 93% of you said sales and marketing, 7% said technology, and no one said billing issues. So go ahead and take it away, Marco.
Thank you. So I think the polls came in exactly the way I thought they would, right? So when you take a look at it, when we see the biggest struggles that service providers are facing and what they kind of face today, I kind of have like my top 10 in terms of really what they are. And sales and marketing always comes at the forefront, right? It's always about how do I develop my services and technologies? How do I wrap my services? How do I price out my models? What do my SLAs look like? And so when we take a look at these challenges and how critical they are within the business, this is something that we as a business really want to address, especially as AVG in terms of who we are. And it's just so critical and important that when you take a look at all of these sales and marketing issues, then you get into security issues in terms of really what they mean and how do you, why does security become at the forefront of all of this? And it ties into what I call your 100% IT service coverage. And when you take a look at the market in the industry today, it's kind of broken out in two fashions. If you take a look at here on the right-hand side, you have 20% of the market is 20% of end user customers are being managed by service providers in a proactive managed model. 80% of the industry of end user customers are still being supported at 80% in a break from their IT service providers. And what happens is that this goes to show that it's difficult for a service provider to articulate what their messaging is to an end user customer. What I can recommend to everybody is one of the things that you need to take a look at is if you have a solution, and take a look within your RMM solution, if it gives you the ability to do what I call a network audit to your customers, it does two things. It does one, it allows you to show value pre-sale and allows you to show value after the sale. The difficulty about a service provider is that what happens is you go into a customer, you try and sell them a solution, and the customer doesn't feel that they need it. And if you haven't done what I call a network audit, and you can't come back to a customer and provide them with reports in terms of what's going on with their environment and how you make your recommendation to fix it, you're going to have a hard time to convince your customer to get into a solution. So what happens is when you take a look at this, and what I've done here is that this 80% break fix and these 20% contracts, what happens is there's a strategy leveraging technology to convert those customers over. And so at AVG, what we do is we help our service providers leverage those customers. So if we develop a strategy for their break fix customers, what we do is we have technology such as doing a network audit, or for instance a seeding strategy with our cloud care solutions that allow you to show value and articulate to them why they need to get into a managed model. And over time, we will take, for instance, these contracts and flip them over into the right-hand side, which is where you get your high value, high recurring revenue streams, where you're introducing to them mobility, VMware, maybe a BDR offering. You may be offering a remote monitoring and management solution. You may be combining with NOC and help desk, and you're making a really, really nice recurring revenue stream. And so why I talk about 100% IT coverage, because I mentioned it before, not all technologies are created equal, and not all technologies give you the ability to support 100% of your customer's environment. And as a service provider, if you're not supporting 100% of the environment, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to another service provider to come in and offer better value and leverage services. And so with AVG, what we try and do is our whole entire program is really developed about helping you run a better, right? So we have what's called an accelerator program that works with our service providers. We don't only sell them all the what we feel is the best software in the industry, but we also help them out with their sales and marketing programs as well. So we have programs that kind of teach you how to increase your recurring revenue sales, what goes into an SLA, how to price out your programs, how to build, for instance, a cloud-based sales team. And so it's a very in-depth, robust training program that we might even talk in depth a lot, Lisa, on our next webinar that we do within the group about exactly how does this solution and technology work, and how do we really kind of support our customers as they develop their managed services practice. So I know we only had a quick 30 minutes, and I tried to leave a little bit of time for some Q&A. So I'll hand it back to you, and if there's any questions, more than happy to discuss them with you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Marco. We will open it up for questions now. If you would like to ask a question, you may do so using the chat window located in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, or you can also raise your hand and using the raise hand button. So we'll give people a minute or two to go ahead and write in. Okay, Marco, our first question, should people looking to get into managed services focus on technology or on business support?
So I think from my standpoint, I think it's imperative for service providers that want to get involved in managed services to look at a company that's going to help them out with the business side of things. And the best way that I can put it is that you guys understand the technology, right? So it's something that you comprehend. But as we saw in the poll, you know, we had 93% of the people that felt that sales and marketing was what they struggled with, and that has been paramount in this space and industry for 10 years now, for 13 years. So I think this is where they really need to focus. So as they partner with an organization and company, the question you want to ask is, how will you help me develop an effective managed services plan? What are the tools and resources that you will allocate to me and the people that will support me in this initiative?
Okay, great. All right, we have a couple more questions coming in. What marketing platforms, social, email, etc., are your channel partners finding the most successful to get in front of people? We're great at conversion when we get there.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Leveraging all the different tools in terms of social media. So you don't, if you're a small service provider, you can be a 1-2-man shop. You can be 5 employees, 10 to 15. That's typically what we see in the channel, right? And so, it depends in terms of how you portray yourself as a business, right? So, I see a lot of like the real successful ones that are, they're using the traditional social media, SEO optimization. But the other thing that it's really, really simple to do is, schedule your own webinars, right? It takes nothing for you to start promoting this. You have an existing customer base. You can do upsell, cross-sell strategies. You can introduce them to new tools and technologies. There's third party out there that can help you kind of like organize these. And it's a great way for you to kind of get your brand and your messaging out there.
Great, great. We did have a couple questions asking about the presentation. Yes, the materials today will be available after the webinar is complete. We do have another question. This is from Jim. What if your business has dealt with high-end enterprise-based solutions and you want to offer MSP solutions around those where there may not be standardized solutions to do MRR or NOC?
Yeah, so Jim, I'm not exactly sure exactly what you're referring to, but I think when you start getting into the mid-enterprise and enterprise, it's really about extending your business, being an extension of their own resources, their own internal IT department, and so I think it's really trying to figure out where you can kind of fit in, and maybe it doesn't necessarily involve RMM, but I think the technologies today are very sophisticated that you start seeing them, they fit very well into the mid-enterprise, enterprise space. And so what I tend to see a lot within our partner base is, there's a lot of service providers, as they go up market, they just become the extension of the internal IT departments, and they may just do specialized work, or they're offloading what these internal IT departments are is just things that they don't want to handle, and they'll give to you, and that you can still generate a nice recurring revenue stream. One of the things that you can do even with our solution in technology is that you can actually parse off a piece of the technology to give somebody who has an internal IT department their own view into the dashboard, so they can do their own proactive monitoring and management. And why this is a kind of a neat way to go to market is because a lot of these organizations and companies, the tool subsets that they would buy a lot of times are the these big technologies, the HP OpenView, the Tivoli type products, and budgeting is not necessarily there. So our partners actually, from a strategic standpoint and a cost-effective model, fit very nicely into that space.
All right, well, thank you very much. All right, we have one last question. There seems to be a trend of MSPs looking for a one-stop shop for everything. Is this possible, and is it recommended?
So I touched based on it a little bit in the presentation today. I did mention that I really kind of felt that that was the way the market and the industry was going. And the only reason I say that is we're hearing from our customers and prospects that are coming to us saying, hey, listen, can I get everything from you guys, right? Because I think it's going to be much easier for me to go out and deal with one company opposed to many. And so, if the solutions are there and there's organizations that are out there like AVG that could provide, all your resources underneath one umbrella, I truly believe it is advantageous for a service provider to go that route.
Wonderful. Okay. And Jim did write back, perfect, that's what he was looking for, validation. So thank you for that as well. All right, thank you, Marco, again for offering your time with us this morning, or this afternoon as it were, and sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending this webinar. Please do take a few moments at the end to fill out your post-event survey. Your input is very important to us. This does conclude today's conference, and you may now disconnect.